They put in their ballot and they hoped that they will get it, and we got in. I mean, there's so many low.
Choose one.
I know, I would choose one. I wanted to feel good at something. Everybody wants to be good at something, and I wanted to find my thing.
Rae, welcome to Yana TV. I'm so excited.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm honestly really, really honored to be part of this beautiful setup and your beautiful show, Yana TV, and I'm excited for our cozy conversation.
Yes, with our cozy cup of tea.
Exactly.
Speaking about the cozy conversation, I would love to learn even more about you. So share with us a little bit. I understand you were born and bred in Singapore. Just a bit more, like which school
100%.
did you go to, and did you move within Singapore from one side to another during your upbringing?
So since young, I was born and bred in Singapore. I would say that I am pretty true blue Singaporean. Growing up, my parents always asked me to study hard. I think most Singaporeans would kind of really resonate with that. Study hard, do well in school, do your best, get a good job, and that was kind of what was drilled into me growing up. So I went into primary school in Raffles Girls Primary School, which is actually one of the best, I think, primary schools in Singapore. So my parents balloted, they put in their ballot, and they hoped that they will get it, and we got in.
Congratulations!
So that was kind of like a huge win for them because a lot of people want to go to that school. Yeah, and then after that, I graduated. I went into just a common neighborhood school and then a junior college and then university. And I studied communications in NTU. So it was one of the, if I'm not wrong, one of the best communication programs in Singapore in Wee Kim Wee School of Communications. And I think growing up, I've been obedient. I've always wanted to do really well in school. I tried my best. And I think like anybody, you just want to do your very best and be validated for your strengths. And honestly, I was really average at best.
I like your honesty, but also probably humility.
Yeah, no, I mean seriously, I was really average. In university, as my friends got their A's, I tried my best and I got a B. And you might think, hey, B isn't that bad. But for some reason, in my batch in university, everybody was super smart and getting really good grades very easily. And if you get a B when everybody gets an A, you don't do very well on the bell curve. And that would mean that I wouldn't be able to get as good a job. And in my head at a point in time, not getting a good job and a good pay was like death. It was like an embarrassment to my parents, an embarrassment to society. It sounds very extreme for me thinking that, but you gotta imagine that since young, like that was the notion that was taught to me. Right? If you're not the cream of the crop, you're going to be lagging behind. If you're not, above average and you're slowly lagging behind, you will be nobody. And that was what's spiraling in my head over and over and over again throughout my academic years and even through university.
But then also it led you to be very proactive at a very young age, right? You look very young, and I know you're young. You are 26, is it correct?
Yeah, 100%.
So, and you have been doing like emceeing and being on stages for the last 10 years.
Correct.
So you started when you're 16.
Yeah, 15 actually.
Okay, 15. So tell me what led you to this?
I wasn't good in school.
Okay, that's a good motivation to go on stages.
I wanted to feel good at something. Everybody wants to be good at something, and I wanted to find my thing. And this is why I believe like each and every one of us, we have a gift that's very natural to us. Whether it's speaking, whether it's being on computers, whether it's math, whether it's science, whether it's researching into history. And for me, it was being in front of an audience, speaking to people, being at events, bringing the energy into the place. And I didn't know it then. I just felt drawn to using my voice. So when I was 15 years old, I was volunteering in a community center under the People's Association of Singapore. People's Youth Association of Singapore, PAYM for short. I should probably go and Google that. And every constituency has a community center, and I volunteered as part of the YEC, which is the Youth Executive Committee. So what we would do is we would organize events to better the constituency there. So we would maybe go into one-room flats to paint their flats. We would tutor kids that don't really have money for tuition. And one of the events that we did were bursary award ceremonies. So a lot of the primary school, secondary school students that did well in school, the minister will come and give them an award, which is great. And they need an MC for these bursary award ceremonies. So I volunteered because I thought, hey, it's probably good for my portfolio. And I was so badly wanting to find something I was good at. So I just volunteered. And I think this is a quick tip for anybody that wants to use their voice, but you're afraid to do so. Volunteer and do it for free, because it feels way less pressurizing.
Absolutely. I mean, I definitely did a lot of that also at the beginning of my career. Tons of volunteering. You build the confidence, you build the experience, you build the network. And so here you go on stages. Okay, so you're at school not doing so well in your own eyes. Right? And then you go on stage because you want to feel better, discovering your voice.
100%. I just wanted to be heard. Because in school, the people that were usually asked to stand up and be clapped by the entire class are the people that did well in school. Like, I mean, teachers would literally say, hey, you know, Tessa did really, really well in this exam, you know, everybody go learn from Tessa. You know, it's a very casual, I am just praising, but I think what happens as a result of that is that the rest of us, at least I can speak for myself, like I didn't feel like I was seen because I feel like I was just average and I wanted so badly to be good at something. So I tried everything, and at that point in time, the opportunity was to volunteer as an MC on stage. And when I started hosting events, starting from bursary award ceremonies in front of ministers and then family carnivals, I realized just how much I loved it. I love being able to create an experience for someone and make someone happy. Like people at the family carnival, they're attending this with their family, and I saw this as an opportunity to give them an experience of a good weekend. And I was able to do that with my voice to elevate the energy of that
and
event.
also then receive the recognition, right? What you're saying,
I think it's subconscious, correct.
Indirectly, subconsciously.
Yeah, it's like people are smiling at me.
People
that shows that I have an effect on someone. That shows that I have value to give, you know? And so since I started doing that, I never stopped doing it ever since. I started doing, I would say, harder and more challenging events, so bigger and bigger crowds, scarier audiences, like people with VCs, CEOs, huge global events. I've done like weddings, which I think is pretty pressurizing because it's someone's like most important day.
Well, you don't want to, you don't want to say anything wrong during the wedding.
Exactly.
That's
so
for sure.
Weddings, tech conferences, and as I started using my voice more, I built more trust with my unique voice. And I started seeing my unique value. And I think it's not just the opportunity of emceeing itself, but it's also having the opportunity to connect with mentors. My earlier mentors when I was around like 19 or 20, when they saw the value in me that I did not see in myself initially, they gave me that initial burst of courage to try something new, to use my voice, even if I didn't feel good enough.
Which is actually a very important also point right here, I think, for for everyone who is watching it right now. It's crucial to have people who believe in us,
100%.
especially at this very younger, tender age, that often we all question, who am I, what am I here to do, what are my talents? So if there's a person, as you said, who is actually believing, this is like a great support.
Yeah, and if there's one thing that I hope we take away from this initial story is that there is so much power in your voice, and you never know how a simple smile or a simple word of affirmation can change someone's lives.
I would like to ask, perhaps if you want to share maybe one story which was difficult for you, something that when you felt that it was tough and maybe didn't know how to go further in life, and then what happened? So what was that lower moment that shaped you greatly who you are today?
I mean, there's so many low.
Choose one.
I know, I would choose one. And I feel like I would choose this one because I think it'll be very relatable to a lot of younger Singaporeans, but even older ones. And I think one of my toughest periods was that period where I wanted to do freelance work outside of my university, but my parents weren't really happy with that. They didn't see my point of view, or rather I wasn't willing to share. And in their minds, they were thinking, hey, I put you in university, I'm paying for your education, which I'm very grateful for. Not many people can have that. But for my parents, like, I'm paying for your education. Can you just study and not do other work outside? Because I don't want you to harm your studies. Whereas from my perspective, it's not about making more money. I just really love to train. I was doing freelance training, I was doing freelance emceeing, I was doing sales outside of university while my university studies were happening. And I wanted to do those things because they made me alive. But from my parents' perspective, they were afraid that I'm destroying my life.
Time and money.
Correct. It's
potentially.
like, you only have one time in university, just make your best out of it. You can do all of this later. I don't know if you guys, resonate with this. Your parents will say, can you do it later? Study first. Get that job first.
I heard this very often, particularly in Singapore. I mean, I am here for 15 years and I am Singaporean now, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I was not born here and I don't look Asian.
Yeah.
But when I talk, especially people from Asian families, it happens very often.
Yeah. It's like, can you do this later? Listen to us. This is what we know. I think the listen to us is very relatable. It's like, in their perspective, they have lived a longer life and they know what's right. They know how to make a living and they want to protect us as children. And that is why they're giving all this advice. And on my perspective, I'm just like a rebellious teen, right? By rebellious, I think it's a good kind of rebellious. My rebelliousness is going out to do things I'm passionate about, not like, slacking. But I was rebellious in the case of I didn't want to tell them, I didn't want to talk to them, I didn't want to explain myself to them. I didn't want to go into a conversation needing to say, okay, I get what you're saying, can you just let me do what I'm doing?
You wanted to own your voice.
Yeah,
I understand.
But I was doing it in a way that was very dismissive, right? I didn't want to explain my side of the story. I was refusing to have a conversation with them. So this dragged on. I would be out late till 10 p.m. because I was at an event or I was having coffee with my mentors. And I would come back late and they would ask me, so what were you doing yesterday? And I'm like, okay, I'll talk to you later. And I could sense that kind of affected our relationship for a year or two. I can't even remember, but a good amount of time. And I was feeling more distant from my parents, which made me very sad because I was really close to my parents and family is very important to me and I don't wanna not be close to my parents. It was very, very sad for me. I just wish that they understood my point of view. But here's the mistake. I wasn't willing to have that tough conversation with them. And this degrading of our relationship was eating me up so much that I one day decided that I needed to sit down and actually have a conversation with them. And I knew it was going to be hard. I know it was going to take time. I know it was going to probably trigger me internally. I know it's going to just annoy me and make me frustrated, but I needed to breathe and have a conversation with them. So number one is having the decision to have that tough conversation because I want to retain their relationship. And number two is making the decision to understand their highest values and share mine. There's this one quote that I really love from Dr. John DeMartini, which is an author, speaker, and polymath. He says that everybody has their own highest values and they'll act, they'll decide, and they'll speak in accordance to your highest values. And expecting anybody to do anything outside of their highest values is just being delusional and it'll cause relationship breakdowns and frustrations. And knowing that, I said, okay, Rae, they might not know this principle, they might think they're right, but what I need to do is to do my best to hold space for them, hold space for us, and understand their point of view, understand why they're worried. And when I sat down and I asked them, the worries were obvious. They were worried that I would destroy my future. They were worried of my safety when I'm home late. And what I needed to do was to literally list it down and tackle the disagreements or tackle the worries one by one. Told them that I had a plan for each of these worries. So if they're worried that I'm home late, I told them, okay, at 10 p.m. every day, I'll text you and I'll let you know the names of the people I'm with. Asian parents love that. They don't know who, they don't know who the person is, they just want to know the name. It's like, I tell you it's Sarah. Do you know who Sarah is? No, but it's okay, just tell me. Okay, so tell them the name, give them what they need.
So first have the courage to have conversation, right?
Correct.
And then be very clear about your values and how you communicate
That's
it.
number two.
And then also ask what makes them comfortable to give you this extra space.
100%, yeah. And then the third thing would be to find a middle ground. Yeah. So find a middle ground and you might not be able to conclude this entire issue in one conversation, but you want to have some sort of middle ground for this season of life so that you have something to agree on. You don't want to end the conversation with, okay, let's talk about this another time, and nothing was concluded. Right? So there needs to be some sort of follow-up. Have a middle ground. Maybe you decide, okay, I'm glad we had this conversation. I think we can have this further conversation another time. But meanwhile, I will promise you to text you at 10 p.m. or I promise you that every week I'll update you what I'm doing this week, freelance work and schoolwork. You know, have some sort of agreement.
So there's a
both
mutual
people say
understanding. Yes. As the younger generation and representative of the younger generation, where do you feel Singapore is heading to?
This is my perspective. I feel like the reason why we're able to progress so fast is because our founding father did a brilliant job in investing in people, right? And our people, our literally one only natural human resource that's not, that we have here, which is the people. So I have some friends from America who came and they heard Lee Kuan Yew's speeches, they heard what he has done to build Singapore to where we are today. And one remark that he had was, wow, I'm really impressed by how the Singapore government takes care of its people. And we don't have that in many other countries. In other countries, it's very, okay, it's your job to be successful. If you are living in the streets, it's your problem. Yeah, I'm not saying for every country, I'm saying for some countries it's like this.
For many.
Yeah. And I didn't know that. I think being in Singapore, we're very protected, we're very safe. There's so many grants, there's so many ways to live out your dream, to get education. And I also was born in a middle-class family, so I'm very, very blessed, I have to admit. But I think there is a little downside to all of this, is that because we are investing in our people, there's a lot of structure that people are subconsciously asked to follow. And the best way for us to progress, I mean, this is, I feel in what I notice in the eyes of the leaders, is that if millennials and Gen Zs and all of us young people follow this fixed path, like get a good education, get a good job, then we're able to grow Singapore fast. Like that is what I see from a young person's point of view. But I feel like from a young person's point of view, like growing up, I felt very like fit into a box. In order to do well and get a high-paying job, you need to follow these steps. Like that was what was subconsciously taught to me, right? Do science instead of art stream. So if you take a look when I was choosing art stream versus science stream in junior college, you need better grades to get into science stream than art stream. Why is that the case? Like, I mean, that already insinuates that the art stream is
less important somehow, right?
Or like
less
smart.
Successful.
Yeah, you don't need to be as smart. But like, I think that already insinuates that like the arts is inferior to the science, right? But I feel like if we can create more space for our younger generation to be able to explore their creativity and to tap into like intuition, tap into inspiration, and see exploring arts as something that's beneficial to their career, then we'll be able to have a more vibrant like future moving ahead. People will be happier. I truly think that when we are not forced to follow steps and we're instead given the environment to explore where our true interests and passions and gifts lie, that is where each and every one of us we're able to use our gifts to our fullest potential and do what's natural to us. And when you do what's natural to you, you're going to do so much better. And that's where more money is going to come in. Like money and all these resources will come so naturally when you're doing what you're best at, not what you're told to do.
Yes, so what we're talking here, basically finding out, first of all, what is your biggest gift.
Correct.
And it might not fit into the framework of do this or do that, right? So you really have to listen to yourself, and it's just to introducing maybe a bit more space and flow in the structure and a bit more creativity and art to balance the mathematics and IT and everything.
And I have to say that I think the government is doing that in some way. I mean, there are non-profits that literally give out grants for musicians to have their own EP. Like my friend is a musician and she's able to apply for these grants to fund her her EP, like her her album. Right? I mean, that's amazing. I don't know if other countries do that, right? So there's also grants for people who want to start their own company, and if it helps a social cause, they can apply for grants. Like there are non-profits that actually offer that. And the arts and culture scene, I feel like it's getting better, it's more vibrant, and there's lots of grants being given out and events and opportunities. So I think that we're doing
love that. And I know that, okay, you personally also have just launched your first talk show.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm super excited
for talk show
about that.
buddies.
Yes, talk show buddies. And it's a thing, from my understanding, right? It's especially also focusing on the younger generation. Would it be okay to inspire, to educate, to show? And it's in the partnership with Scape, would it be correct,
which is a non-profit. So that's what I mean. Like to be able to pitch it to Scape.
She did it, right?
Yeah,
I mean, she just walked in and pitched to Scape. This is also an amazing part.
Okay, that is very accurate. Power of networking and using your voice. So yeah, I mean, to be able to go in and pitch to Scape and to be supported by them and have everything done with the support of Scape, I'm blessed to be able to do this. Once again, I don't know if any other country has opportunities like this, maybe, but I'm really proud of us for having that. So yeah, I have just launched Singapore's first live in-person talk show with an audience. So we did our first show on 26 March. It was wonderful because it's always been my dream to be Asian Oprah.
So I'm interviewing Asian Oprah. I mean, lucky me.
And create this safe space for younger generation. I mean, for youths and young adults to have difficult conversations about difficult topics like defining your own success, mental health, marriage, maybe even divorce. Things that you might not feel comfortable talking to with your friends around you.
Especially in this part of the world.
Yeah, especially this part of the world where people care about showing face.
Yeah.
Likely so, because I don't know, I feel like especially in Asia, like people are more critical, or like you're just afraid that your employer is going to see you talk about these things. So I think people are craving for that safe space to connect with people who understand them and have gone through similar things as them, and to hear from experts on what to do moving forward. And that is what the talk show allows. Both of them. Oh, and the third thing is to have your voice heard. And that's the power of a live in-person talk show, is that we actually give the mic to people to ask their question and to share their challenge. And just by people sharing, it allows other people to share. Once again, the power of your voice. When you share your story, when you ask for help and share your challenge and ask for support, you're giving people around you the permission to also do the same. And simply doing that, you're already injecting courage into people. You're helping people amplify their courage. And that's what the talk show allows us to do. So really, really so happy that I'm able to do that and hold that space for people.
Thank you so much, Rae. That was amazing. So thank you for joining us today on Yana TV. That was such a, honest, genuine, very insightful conversation, and all the best with the talk show. I'm really going to be watching you raising up and becoming Asian Oprah.
Thank you so much, Yana. I think that exactly what we're doing here, like having honest, authentic conversations, is what we need more in this world. Like social media is so powerful because it amplifies voices.
Yes.
But unfortunately, it also amplifies a lot of voices that are destructive.
Yes.
And that I wish was not so obvious. And so I think that this is a call to action for each and every one of us. If you have something good to say, say it.
Say it.
Because
say it.
We need you to say it. There's so much stuff that shouldn't be said and people are hating on people online. We need voices that are pure, that are kind, and even if you're not perfect, as long as you have a good intention to use your voice, use it on social media because it amplifies more kindness and love and courage, and that's exactly what we need in this world. People are scared, and when you're scared, we can't progress. When you're scared, voices are not shared, messages are not put out there, and our gifts are not used. And in order for us to take away that fear, we need more people who are having the courage to use their voice, We do it here, we do it just on Instagram, we have social media platforms that are so accessible to you. Use your voice, do it now.
Use your voice, do it now. Yeah. I love that. And I'm just joining also, Rae, with your encouragement, especially for the younger people, because it's the young generation which is coming up, to go out there and really talk about yourself, build communities. And also when you're now watching to this video, whatever platform it is, do share with us what is your message, like what it is that what is your dream, right? Like when we talk about share your voice, what is it you would like to speak up about? What is like Rae's dream was to have a talk show. Here she is, right? So she just launched it. So what would that be for you? Just share this with us in the comments. We would really appreciate that.
Yeah, and like this video and share it with your friends.
Like,
right?
subscribe,
no,
share.
But I mean, because if you don't want to use your voice yet, one way to support other people using their voices is to like, share, and allow the algorithm to help us so that the right messages go viral.
Exactly.
That's why you should like, share. This is exactly why.
So thank you so much for joining us today here with Rae.
Thank you.